Hello and welcome. You're watching India Today live on our social media handles. I'm Akshita Nandagopal giving you all the top stories that we're tracking this Tuesday. It's day 2 of the second phase of the vaccination drive in India, and I just want to quickly give you a sense of how we're doing as far as the vaccination process itself is concerned. Day 1, there were a lot of registrations that were in fact put up on the CoWIN platform, both on the website and the app. And that led to a lot of enthusiasm as well. Today, just a few minutes ago, in fact, we had Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan and his wife Nutan getting their vaccine jabs, the first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. Yesterday, we had the Prime Minister. The message essentially is to address the issue of vaccine hesitancy, which we've been seeing a lot in India as well. But there were a few hiccups as far as day 1 of the vaccination drive is concerned. In the second phase, of course, there's going to be a lot more traffic on these platforms, and this is the real test of the process that's been put in place for vaccination. And yesterday we did get a number of reports of people having issues when they tried to register on the CoWIN platform, issues where they said that there was an error that came up as soon as they asked for an OTP to register themselves, and several such messages that popped up that led to a lot of confusion of whether there's a problem itself in the vaccination process. It is because of high demand, and when we also spoke to those who are responsible for making the CoWIN platform, they've said that the glitches have been addressed now, so things should be smooth going forward. Let's hope that's the case. Yesterday we saw a number of registrations coming in. As I mentioned, glitches was one issue. The other is a lot of people weren't aware of the process. So inevitably they landed up in a hospital and asked for the vaccine. That's not the way to do it. There are certain centers also set up. So I just want to touch up for all those of you who want to know how to register for these for a vaccine. Remember, you have to be above the age of 60. You can also be above the age of 45, but if you have a comorbidity, then you can go in it and get yourself vaccinated. But beyond that also, the entire vaccine process is such that I can do it on my mobile phone. I can either do it on the website of www.cowin.gov.in. Now, once I log in there, an OTP is sent to my phone. Once I put in the OTP, I've then created an account successfully. I can then register myself for a vaccine if I'm eligible. Similarly, I can do so for 3 other members of my family. 4 people in one mobile phone is the norm that's been put in place. It is a seemingly easy process. The problem is that there are a few hiccups which the administration is saying that we are dealing with, and that things will be smooth from today onwards. Vaccine hesitancy, another issue. Let's hope that things pick up, because we've been seeing a lot of photo optics like the Prime Minister, the Health Minister, all of them getting the vaccines. It's meant to reassure citizens that the vaccine is very much safe, and that the only way we can fight this pandemic is by going out there and getting vaccinated. So a number of people who've already registered themselves for the vaccine, remember that if you choose to do so, it's going to be at a time slot, a date, a location of your choosing. What you don't have a choice in, however, is which vaccine you want to get administered with, whether it's Covaxin or Covishield. That's something you don't have an option or a choice at this point. What you can choose, however, is when and where you get vaccinated. So that's what the administration has put forth right now, and it's unlikely really in the coming months that's going to change, that you're going to get a choice in vaccine, because this phase, which involves these 2 categories that I mentioned of comorbidities and senior citizens, this will go on for perhaps the next 2 to 3 months, and that's after that you're going to see all others also coming to the fore when the next phase of vaccination will kick off. So let's hope things get smoother in the days to come. On day 2 already, you're seeing a lot more registrations pouring in, and we'll hope that that continues. Let me move on to some political stories also of the day. What's happening in our poll-bound states. In Bengal, there is an all-out fight between Congress leaders. There is a senior Congress leader, Anand Sharma, who's spoken out against the party. Remember, important here to highlight that he's part of the G23, the leaders who've been talking for an overhaul of how the Congress is working. You can't really refer to them as rebels, perhaps as dissidents in a way, because they've been saying that we are with the Congress, we are loyal to the party and the leadership, but there is a need to change how the party functions. So Anand Sharma, while referring to what's happened in Bengal, has questioned the party on their alliance with a party called the Indian Secular Front. This is a group that's been formed by Pirzada Abbas Siddiqui. He is in fact the head of the Furfura Dargah, very influential shrine in Bengal, which is why there's been a lot of talk about him being a game changer, about him being a force to reckon with, and someone who can create problems for the Trinamool Congress. Now Anand Sharma has come out to state that there can't be selective secularism as far as the Congress is concerned. His contention is that we must fight, that the Congress must fight all communal forces, and he said that the ISF is not a secular force. So it is on this that the Congress has responded. If you're wondering if the Congress is doing a rethink, considering one of their senior leaders has spoken like this, the answer is no. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who is in charge of West Bengal right now for the party, has made it very clear that this is not something they're going to reconsider. He's however said that as far as ISF's part in the alliance with the left is concerned, the Congress has nothing to do with it. That there's a seat-sharing pact between the ISF and the left, and the talks are still on with the Congress, so nothing is concrete as far as the Congress party is concerned, and then it's the left which roped in the ISF. So that's how the Congress is choosing to battle this particular storm out. But optics-wise, of course, it definitely doesn't augur well for the Congress. The fact that you have such a senior party leader, someone who's known to have been a Gandhi loyalist, someone who speaks very, very often on party affairs and backs what the party has said that this is not okay. This is what he's referred to as selective secularism. Let's get you also the updates from Tamil Nadu, where the focus right now is on alliance talks. The AIADMK seems to be in a bit of a spot after they've given a number of seats to the PMK, that's the Patali Makkal Katchi, after they gave in to the demand also for a sub-quota for the Baniyar community. The BJP seems to be putting some pressure really on the AIADMK to bring back VK Sashikala and TTV Dinakaran, because they worry that they will essentially be a woodcutter, take away some of the votes from the AIADMK. So far, the ADMK has made it very clear that they are not for such a move, for any sort of comeback of Sashikala or TTV Dinakaran. But the BJP is putting forth 2 points. One is on Sashikala, the other is that they want more seats. So the AIADMK perhaps will have to give in to either one of the two demands. So that's something we'll be seeing, what really is the outcome of the talks there. Two other stories that I just want to quickly update you on. One is on what's happening at the line of actual control. We've been getting you details with the disengagement at Pangong. Well, what we're also seeing simultaneously is a lot of build-up of troops by China at Depsang Plains. What this essentially highlights for you, these are satellite images that we here at India Today have accessed, which shows that Chinese troops, PLA troops, have been putting up structures, tents. They've been essentially building up their infra at Depsang Plains, and this while disengagement has happened at Pangong. What this highlights perhaps more than anything else for India is that disengagement is not equal to de-escalation at the LAC, and we have a long way to go to ensure that the standoff really at the line of actual control ends. And that's because of the fact that you're still seeing these troops gathering at places like Depsang, which perhaps is the biggest bone of contention between India and China at the LAC, and it's going to take a lot of rounds of talks for there to be some sort of breakthrough in places like Depsang, in Gogra, in Hot Springs and the likes. Another update that I want to get you is on the fuel prices. We've all been talking about it, how it's been pinching us and how it's burning a hole in our pockets. Well, the centre is reportedly considering giving us some sort of relief that they could cut excise duties. But this won't happen as of now. It's going to take some time to actually happen, because the government is hoping that there's some sort of stability that comes in the global crude oil prices, because they don't want to have to restructure the entire tax breakdown again. So if there's going to be a cut in excise duties, it will mean that prices will come down of fuel for all of us, will be a huge relief. But again, don't get your hopes up. Could take a bit of time is what we're being told. So those are the top stories that we're tracking this Tuesday. We'll of course keep getting you all the updates on those stories and much more here in India Today. Thank you for watching.